welcome to the NewsX Sunday Guardian Roundtable. As the Modi government completes 9 years, there is of course a lot of celebration in the capital with the achievements being tom-tommed with there are a lot of dinners, a lot of press conferences, and a lot of buzz as to what the government has achieved and also the road ahead, the road to 2024. A lot of people are expecting the Prime Minister to make a comeback. They feel that his popularity, pollsters show that his popularity is still the highest, maybe waning a bit, but still very much higher than the other opposition leaders. There's also the inauguration of the new parliament building, which the opposition is boycotting. So new beginnings, but the same old politics. So we're going to take a look at the track record of the Modi government at 9 and also the road ahead. Does the opposition sense some glimmer of hope, or is it going to be a walkover for Modi? Joining us on the show today we have with us Tehseen Poonawala. He is a Congress sympathizer. He's a senior advocate and of course a popular face on Roundtable. We have Gurprakash. He's a national spokesperson for the BJP. And Ashutosh, founder, editor of satyahindi.in, and Sandeep Ghosh, he's a political commentator, columnist, and again, someone who we are welcoming back after a long break. So Sandeep, I'm going to give you the first word. Where do you see the Modi government at 9?
See, Priya, if I were to wear my corporate hat, any leader in any situation, in any organization, in any circumstances, inherit a certain legacy from a certain point. And when everybody comes to every tenure is finite, whether it's somebody gets 10 years, or somebody gets 20 years or 5 years, whatever it is, they leave. Now, how you judge the success is how the graph has moved from the point somebody has taken over to the point they're handing over, because everybody has to be judged in the context of those times, those challenges. The challenge here. So it's not like to like. If you were to compare somebody in the previous stint, say, if I'm a CEO and before somebody before me has done something, it's unfair to compare each other. So because there is a certain point, where you've taken over. If I see the Modi government, there's never, it's never 100% track record. People will do mistakes. You get some things right, something wrong. So it's never, but the problem, I think, with evaluating the Modi government, people do it again in binary terms, either it's 100 or it's 0. So if you speak to BJP supporters and other people, they will probably don't see any downsides, whereas people on the other side, again, don't see any positives, although there are positives over there. I personally feel...
But I want to first, sorry to cut you short, but I want to also go into the politics of it. Then I'll come to you.
No, but this politics is linked to it. Okay, I will come back to that later. So, nothing in this is in isolation. So I don't want to hog more time, but I will dwell on this subsequently. How does it change in politics?
Okay, I'll come back to you on that. But Tehseen, you're the politics of it all. How do you see the politics of the last 9 years? And does the opposition have any hope of making a dent into Modi's popularity?
So Priya, thank you so much, and good to see everyone here.
Yeah.
Let me start. Though I'm primarily opposed to the present union government, no government is all bad or all good. Everyone from Nehruji to Modi has contributed to the country. Let's accept that and appreciate that and start forward. So they're goods, they're bad. It's not that everybody's wrong. The good, definitely, the Modi ji's government has been removal of Article 370. The good definitely has been the Ram Mandir issue has been resolved. Though it's the Supreme Court judgment, construction's come, there's been some sort of closure to that. So to certain amount, there has been certain amount of good. Sandeep spoke about digitization. I don't think you can credit the present union government for that. That had to happen. It has happened in a lot of other countries. It's not that it's only happening in India or that we are awestruck. But I think, and I'm saying this with a lot of sincerity as somebody who's actually, and I don't want to share too many personal things, but I have to just shift. My partner in one of my not-for-profit companies passed away in March. And we are in May, and still my mom, who's a director, cannot become a director in the company because of the amount of compliance to be done online, and it doesn't get over. And this is March to May. So ease of doing business is a myth. It's a complete myth. You're even going after legitimate businessmen. I mean, when have you for bona fide mistakes? ED is putting people in jail. So there is a lot of ease of doing business is a myth. Why have 265,000 Indians given up their passport? I'm not talking about leaving the country. That's over 10 lakh HNIs. 1,65,000 Indians, fellow citizens, have committed suicide. They've committed suicide primarily because of lack of jobs. You have a massive economic and job crisis, and that, I think, is the Achilles heel of this government. The jobs and the economy. And the problem with that is this government does not know how to fix it. Let me end this by asking your viewers a simple question. As we enter the new phase of technology, AI, Web 3.0, blockchain, what is the government's policy? It has zero policy on it. It simply does not understand. What you're seeing is digitization is Web 2.0. The simple transactions that are happening online, this is very basic. It's Web 2.0, which India got in that revolution.
Okay.
India is falling back. One last thing, the lack of encouragement to learn English. It will take India behind by decades. And I know I'll be criticized. I know I'll be called colonial. But every single politician, BJP or Congress, their kids go abroad and study in the best universities. The opportunities are not the same in India. Why are 2,65,000 Indians giving up their passport and 10 lakh HNIs moving to countries like Dubai, which are not democratic? Because there are more opportunities there. To higher tax-paying countries like America, Australia, and Canada.
Okay.
Because
So
opportunities aren't here.
So Guru Prakash, a lot of, they're saying they're attacking you on the development card, really, saying, while Sandeep saying there is a lot of good work that is done, Tehsim asked a legitimate question saying, why are so many Indians then leaving the country? And why is the ease of business not as good as it is on ground as it is on paper?
Priya, very warm good morning to you and my fellow panelists. And today is definitely, as we are sitting and we have gathered here for 9 years of the Modi government, and the biggest judge and the most important judge for the people's mandate is the people of India. And if you look at the elections in the last 9 years, people of India from Uttar Pradesh to the northeast, to the south, to the east, we recently saw the Gujarat elections as well. And the sort of mandate that the people of India have given to the Modi government is in itself a reflection of the commitment and the faith of the people of India in the policies of the government. Second, we have to realize that when the Honorable Prime Minister says Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, and Sabka Vishwas, it is not just about a section of people. It is about taking everyone along. It is about creating stakeholdership in 1.4 billion people of India. And I was just going through the data which said that India is a country with the highest amount of digital transactions in the world, globally. I saw a report in the Economic Times that said by 2026, $10 trillion would be the sort of digital transaction that India would have. When we started in 2014, we are all aware that we were a $2 trillion economy, and we are now somewhere close to $3.6 trillion economy. We started as the 10th largest economy. We are now the 5th largest economy. And there is a growing realization and increasing realization, not only in the country, but across the world. We are hosting the G20 summit. We are hosting the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. We saw what a phenomenal role India as a country played during the COVID crisis. We were the pharmaceutical to the world. We are every day, every moment witnessing the increasing recognition of Prime Minister Modi. We saw the visuals from Papua New Guinea. We saw the visuals from Sydney and how the Prime Minister of Australia was acknowledging the contributions of Prime Minister Modi. So that is one aspect of it. But we also need to understand that the work that has been done for the welfare of the marginalized sections. And I would like to go back to 2014. On this day, 9 years ago, Prime Minister said, "Meri sarkar garib, dalit, shoshit, peedit aur vanchito ki sarkar hogi." And this is something which is resoundingly have had a very important recognition with the people of India. I can give you hundreds of data points of Swanidhi, 50 lakh.
I got the big picture, yeah. But I want to bring Ashutosh in it. Ashutosh, this is the messaging is really whether this has happened, how much of it is on ground, how much of it is there, what exactly happened in Papua New Guinea. All that is, we are hearing various versions of this, how much the stadium at Australia was filled or not filled. But the message back home is it was a huge success. PM is courted, feted, and, world leaders are rushing to meet him, wanting his autograph. This is where the opposition really falls flat, because the messaging that the BJP and the Prime Minister Modi does, nothing can beat that.
If Mr. Prime Minister has to be given the award for the what is called the PR exercise, he will get the Oscar, thumbs down. No leader in the world can beat him. So I'm not getting into that. It is not that the Mr. Modi is getting all this. It is India which is getting it. Mrs. Gandhi and the Nehru in 1936 in the Brussels conference, when India was not even free. Even at that point of time, he was hailed as a world leader, and the world used to listen to him. And George W. Bush has called Manmohan Singh, when he speaks, the world listens. And Barack Obama has said so many things about Manmohan Singh, but let's forget it. Let's not get to that, because Manmohan Singh was not into the PR exercise. See, Narendra Modi will not be remembered for the economic development, because Narendra Modi will not be remembered for anything else. But he will be remembered for bringing a paradigm shift in Indian politics in 2014. And he brought that ideological put into the Indian state and tried to convert Indian state into a theocratic state. That will be dissected by historians in coming years, centuries, and decades. And he will be remembered on that front. So I always compare that 2014 is something like 15th August 1947. When the power was handed over from Britishers to the India, it was just not a simple routine transfer of power. In 2014, those who tom-tommed in 2014, it's a routine transfer. It was not a routine transfer of power. It was something else.
I'm going to take a break, but yeah, I like the larger point as to the legacy, the political legacy of Prime Minister Modi. Sandeep, I'm going to come to you with that one, but after a very quick break. Hello and welcome back to the NewsX Sunday Guardian Roundtable. We are here discussing the 9 years of the Modi government, but Sandeep, the political legacy, I don't know whether you want to talk politics or not, because now that you're in the corporate of that, but...
No, I will not skirt it. I don't get into bipartisan politics, but I am ultimately a citizen. I have my political views. But first of all, I would like to respond. I'm essentially a marketing man and businessman. This whole it's now becoming a record that people talk about Modi's event management, Modi's marketing. Let me tell you, as a marketer, if you have a lousy product, you cannot market it indefinitely. It will not succeed for 9 years. Just like if you have a lousy product, you can relaunch it 20 times, as we know of certain leaders who have been launched, relaunched, further launched. It still doesn't succeed. They will still lose even their home constituency. They can't defend it. So marketing is not the thing. Number two is reforms. Even among what we saw China today was really from the time of Deng. And somebody said that, Deng had described, it was like walking across a river of stones, or, I remember right in the beginning of Yogi government, I had met a very senior IAS in UP. And at that point in time, Yogi was trying to undo the sand and gravel mafia, which was doing before. And I, being in the cement business, it was extremely relevant. And he told me that, sir, reforms is like watching a horror movie. You should have the nerve to wait through 3 hours, only then you see the results. So it takes a lot of guts, whatever you have done, right or wrong, to wait and see the results. Sometimes you bet your entire political capital in it, right or wrong. That only posterity will judge, whether it was for the vaccines, where we resisted the huge overtures to get Pfizer in, Moderna in, and still hold on to your domestic vaccine and do that. Or when the world said that India is going to have food riots, you took care of that, whether that is something which is people will appreciate or not. You may remember Modi for demonetization. Similarly, you remember Mrs. Gandhi for bank nationalization, and we know what bank nationalization has done. We know now for a fact, they say institutionalized corruption in politics started during the 70s. And that is where the real corruption in Indian politics went up, the money play. That is not fully documented in a political way. So these are things I will not jump into how posterity will judge Mr. Modi. I will judge by what it is. He has brought it, and I personally even wrote. Now, I'll just take half a minute. Now the impact of those Lavarthi things, etc., are waning off. That was very good. People got it there. And it's our culture, in your city where you live. Do people tell me what to do? People living in Vasant Vihar, also fall for free electricity and free water, and some of them have invested in second meters to increase their free electricity. That's in our nature. So if people fall for revenues, people fall for freebies, it's part of the cycle. It will go through, and at some stage, we'll come up of it in some
balance will work out. Okay. Tehseen, your point of view on the legacy of Prime Minister Modi.
I think the legacy of the Honorable Prime Minister would be mixed. Like I listed out some of the good work that his government has achieved, but I have failed to understand that my state of Manipur is burning as we speak, Priya, as we speak. Thousands of fellow Indians are displaced. Tell me another Prime Minister. You may like Nehruji, you may like Indiraji, you may dislike them, Rajiv Ji, Vajpayee Ji. Tell me another Prime Minister who would be indulging in celebration, personal celebration, while a state was burning. I have no problem if it was 15th August, 26th January is national. This is a personal celebration of a government. Could it not have been postponed while a state is burning? Tell me another example, Priya and Ashutosh, because I have immense respect for you as journalists, where Article 355 has been imposed in the state and 356 not been imposed. The entire idea of Article 355 being imposed and taking away law and order to the center's hand is because state has failed, while the state government is not dismissed. Tell me another example in independent history and I will bow before you. Tell me another example, Priya, where medal winners are at Jantar Mantar. Medal winners, these are girls. And Kapil Sibal and Insaf Sipai went to court, the FIR registered. Tell me another example in India where a statement has been registered against the accused under 164. It matches the original complaint. The girl is a minor. POSCO has been enacted, and the accused has not been arrested. Another statement in India, and the Honorable Prime Minister not spoken. Tell me an example where rapists of a woman with a young child have been released. The union government has still not spoken, and we know the head was smashed, everything, and they were released because they were sanskari only to help a political party win an election in state which it has a commanding majority in. Please tell me, Priya, these are issues that bother our country. Manmohan Singh Ji was the strongest prime minister this country has produced, and Obama said about Manmohan Singh Ji, he led the world out of world recession, but he stood his ground on the nuclear deal. Tell me another prime minister who could get us something like the 123 agreement, another country in the world without being.
But Manmohan Singh not being the strongest prime minister is also the fault of the Congress, not in the opposition.
It's not true. It's not true, Priya. It's not true. Manmohan Singh may have not spoken every day, but he spoke when it mattered. When the 123 agreement had to go through, he spoke. When Nirbhaya happened, he spoke. He healed wounds. Priya, Manmohan Singh healed wounds. Tell me another incident like that. And I'm asking you, tell me another country that got a nuclear agreement without being signatory to the NSG. That man takes everything for positivity, not for negativity. And that is the difference.
The Prime Minister spoke when it was needed. This Prime Minister doesn't speak, Guru Prakash. That's a very strong...
When needed.
See, there are, Priya, I think I'll just butt in for two things. One is I'm very wary of using these terms, strongest, best, this and that. Nobody is strongest, best. You cannot use the superlatives. I think that, as I say, history, somebody says who was the best prime minister. Today we find this, whatever you're calling the scepter, or it was stored in his house.
It's a personal opinion. It's a personal opinion. You don't have to accept it, Sandeep.
It is walking.
It's my opinion. Manmohan Singh is the strongest. Somebody may think Modi is the strongest. Somebody may think Nehruji. That's fine.
Got it.
Somebody else was celebrating Christmas at that time or going abroad. These
no. This is state burning. No, tell me when Christmas was celebrated when the state is burning. And apart from it having undertones of
you were having Nirbhaya rape, and within the capital, people were celebrating Christmas in their house without speaking.
The government.
The government. Celebrating something in your house versus a state-sponsored celebration when a state is burning. Sandeep, either with respect, you're juvenile or you're purposely diverting the issue. I leave that to you.
Okay, Guru. No personal thing, but he made a point. But
how is it relevant? It's not a relevant point, Sandeep. Having a personal celebration at home versus a state celebration while the state is burning.
Obama says something about Manmohan Singh, it is great. When Biden says something,
but I praise Modi for
that. That's a source that can do that.
You don't get into that.
But we're running out of time. Let other people speak.
No, 1 second. Just one thing. Sorry, Guru Prakash ji.
You got your point.
Now tell me what Obama wrote about Rahul Gandhi.
No,
Now
no.
let's
Forget
talk
Rahul
about
Gandhi.
Obama road
Forget
and
Rahul
Rahul
Gandhi.
Gandhi. Let's
No,
talk
no,
about
no.
Okay.
One
that.
second.
Going,
Okay.
Sandeep, don't
where
do
this
this.
discussion
Okay?
is going
This is
seriously. I
It's
don't
going over.
understand.
Okay, now Tessie
Don't go
Madsen.
all over. Just
No,
one
no.
line. I
So don't
praise
take
Modi ji.
selectively
No, no.
people's
Now,
that is
Sandeep, give me my
Got
one
your
line. Don't
point. I'm going
interrupt.
to let the others
Just,
speak
just,
now.
just one
I'm
line.
going to mute.
Just one line. Just one line. I praise Modi ji for Papua New Guinea. I praised him publicly. I praised him for his foreign policy. I think he deserves praises. Where he does,
Okay.
we praise him. Don't manipulate it to say, oh, no, that is this.
Tick.
We're talking about, we're
Okay,
putting apples
okay.
and oranges.
Done. We got it. Okay, now Guru.
I was patiently listening to both my friends, and I have this news clip in front of me, which says,
Yeah.
What did it say? Can you read it out? Sorry.
Then
This is
Aji was
how-
at Sameer Sharma's wedding.
can I
When
speak?
Prince
I
William
think
had-
it's my turn, Preeti.
Yeah.
Let him speak, Tessie.
Yeah.
So yeah, is this visible? Yeah.
No, it's not. Can you tell us what it says?
No, it is. Rahul in party mood after Mumbai crisis.
Thanks,
So
Sandeep. Okay.
this is a mail today report, and I think before we make any comment and before we go into what about we should realize this. Priya ji, we must realize that we were talking about Mr. Manmohan Singh, and definitely he has been one of the most important prime minister. But we also realize that Barack Obama in his book has said certain things about Rahul Gandhi and how non-serious he seemed at one of the dinner parties in his biography. So it's not about jumping to conclusion like Sandeep ji said. It was same Prime Minister Manmohan Singh ji who also said that the biggest threat to internal security of our country is the Naxal violence. And the Red Corridor, which was spread in more than 220 districts, has now cornered to, I think, less than 25 districts. So commitment to internal security, peace, sovereignty, and you have to give where it is due. You have your own political inclination, that is pretty understandable, but we have to realize that for the first time in our history, for the first time in the last 75 years, we are seeing realistic development in terms of social justice. For the first time, we have a woman from the most backward region of Odisha at the highest constitutional office. For the first time, a woman from tribal community, Santhal community, at the highest constitutional office in the country. And look at what the opposition is doing today. Unfortunately, they did not support her for her candidature. We were expecting a national consensus back then, but look at how she's being used politically as a matter of political fodder when it's coming to inauguration, etc. But we have to realize certain things. I was patiently listening to Ashutosh ji as well, and how he made various points about India being a theocratic state and so on.
Yeah,
and
that
so
was a
forth.
good point, huh?
Yeah, so we have to realize that when constituencies like Rampur and Azamgarh, which is highly minority dominated seats, that has given like huge mandate to Bharatiya Janata Party. For the first time, we are looking at someone like a Danish Rizwan Ansari. There are conversations on the representation and recognition of Pasmanda Muslims for the first time, Priyaji. For the first time in the history of Jammu and Kashmir, we have a scheduled tribe Muslim, Ghulam Ali Khatana, being sent to Rajya Sabha. For the first time, we have a member from the scheduled caste, a Dalit community, artist being sent to Rajya Sabha since 1952. Now, this is a very important point which I am saying. Since 1952, not a single Dalit was sent to Rajya Sabha from the presidential nomination category. The idea is precisely this, that we are going towards saturation. When the Prime Minister says that Tushtikaran nahi, Triptikaran ka zamana hai. It was the same Prime Minister Manmohan Singh who in 2007 said कि देश के संसाधनों पे पहला मुसलमानों का है. Had he said देश के संसाधनों पे पहला गरीबों का है, दलितों का है, शोषितों का है, तो हमने स्वागत किया होता. But this is the sheer example of politics of polarization that unfortunately the Congress has played. But today, since we are talking about the 9 years of Modi government and the international recognition, we should realize that initiatives like One Nation, One Ration Card, more than 45 crore bank accounts, more than 40 crore beneficiaries of Mudra.
I'm going to cut you short on the list of achievements.
I came in late, Priyaji. 10 seconds, please. So wait, it's important about the saturation. More than 10 crore Ujwala. I can give you 100 of such figures. And for the middle class itself, for the middle class itself, when we speak about 100 unicorns, 70,000 plus startups, so that in itself shows that the people of India across the aisle, middle class, lower middle class, people who are economically challenged, they are solidly standing behind the leadership and the policies of Prime Minister.
Okay, Ashutosh, last word to you. You know, this has been quite a debate. So
no, I should be compensated now because the time is consumed by these two gentlemen. Let me start by saying this. Manmohan Singh will, in my opinion, will go down in history as one of the two best prime minister the country had, along with Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. There is no comparison. I'm not comparing him with Indira Gandhi. I know I will be in a minority and I will be lynched if I say something like this, but I'm willing to put my neck out. Manmohan Singh is probably he will give that. He will get his due by history. And we have been very, very unjustified in doing what we did to him. And the history will take revenge out of us, and probably taking revenge out of us. But what we did to him. The point number two, I think what has happened in this country, the accountability is today zero. The accountability is zero. In Kathua, where the BJP leaders were standing, they were not standing with the girl who were raped. They were standing with those who raped her, rapist. They had gone, they hit the streets, and that person was promoted as a leader. Look what happened with the Kuldeep Sengar. When the courts intervened, only then the action was taken. Today, what is happening with Brajbhushan Sharan Singh? We are ashamed as a society, and let me tell you this: I'm ashamed as an Indian when this is happening, and the government of India is not speaking something like this. Brajbhushan Sharan Singh, just six women had complained about him. A minor has complained about him. There is a report which is with the government. Government has not taken a cognizance of that, and government talks about beti padhao, beti bachao. This is how you do it. And so the issue is there is no accountability in this government. There is no respect for the public opinion. There is an ecosystem has been created, and the people have become the prisoner of the propaganda. The people are being brainwashed. We are living in a society where the top intellectuals of the country, they behave like an authoritarian, because there's an attempt to create an authoritarian society where they will speak, think, and believe what the Prime Minister has said, and there is no criticism of that. I think as a democracy, we are going down on a daily basis. We are talking about Australia. Read what Sydney Morning Herald has written about it, and how the Australian Prime Minister was embarrassed, and when he was asked questions by the media. It's not questioned. He was not questioned by the Indian media. He was not questioned by the Ashutosh. He was questioned by those who support free media. So we as a society has gone down. We are living in a society which has become prisoner of the authoritarian mindset. And unfortunately, पढ़े लिखे लोग भी वही बात कर रहे हैं जो पहले सड़क पे बातें होती थी.
But also, unfortunately, it is also the opposition that is to blame for letting this continue. If you know what Ashutosh is saying, is all these things are happening. Where is the opposition? Why are they not?
I must thank Ashutosh for one thing. One thing I must. This is just to thank him. Just to thank him. He has at least acknowledged. He has at least acknowledged there are intellectuals, and top intellectuals of the country are in the right wing. So far, they said the right wing doesn't even have an intellect. At least he has granted us being intellectuals.
I got it.
आपको मुबारक हो संदीप जी, because I know right wing always needs an endorsement from the liberals. They always seek an endorsement from the liberals.
Okay, then let Guru say the last word because
one simple line. I think ये Zoom conversation में हम लोग 140 करोड़ लोगों के behalf पे बात कर लेते हैं. I think they are speaking and they are speaking well. मुझे लगता है कि उनके दिमाग और उनके विवेक पे छोड़ना चाहिए.
Okay, on that note, thank you so much, all of you, for this very feisty debate. Thank you for this one.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.